Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC. Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Hakem. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning, and I'm so glad, as always, that you've joined us this morning. We have a lot of breaking news that we need to get to. New York State updates. If you're not aware, Governor Hochul indeed picked her lieutenant governor, Adrienne Adams, as her lieutenant governor candidate. We'll talk about that and talk about her. We also have just some breaking Trump stories as well. First, a comment that came in right after yesterday's broadcast. Thank you for squeezing that last comment in. I didn't think you were going to be able to fit it in, but you are like a magician. Thank you very much. That was the comment that said, my opinions are completely opposite of Rick's, after Rick had made a statement late in yesterday's broadcast. I do like having him watch the program. It must be very difficult for him. I know how he must feel because it was the same for me during the Obama and Biden years. That was the comment. And then the viewer continued, another great show. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's a nice way to end yesterday's broadcast. Okay, as an update, and we do have quite a few updates from previous shows. President Trump did direct federal law enforcement to be ready to assist in the search for Savannah Guthrie's missing mother, Nancy. And he spoke with Savannah Guthrie early yesterday. I spoke with Savannah Guthrie and let her know that I'm directing all federal law enforcement to be at the family's and local law enforcement's complete disposal immediately. He posted on Truth Social, we are deploying all resources to get her mother home safely. Now, if you watched that heart-wrenching plea video, if you will, from Savannah and her siblings asking for the return of her mother, Nancy, looking as if they were perhaps talking to a kidnapper or someone looking for ransom, but there was no specifics in it. So I saw some speculation that that means that they don't have any leads, or that the person who maybe did this hasn't been in contact with them demanding any type of ransom. We had reported, well, TMZ had reported that there is that ransom note, but unfortunately, there are some disgusting people out there that look at tragedies like this, potential tragedies like this, as an opportunity and demand ransom. I read a really interesting piece on that this morning, that this happens in a lot of cases of missing people, where people will see it as, again, I hate to use the term, but a sick opportunity to try to extort, essentially, grieving families and take their money. So no new updates on that. But again, Trump saying that he will deploy all resources to help find Savannah Guthrie's missing mother. Yesterday, Trump had a busy day. President Trump had an emotional phone call with the parents of a Staten Island native and Army Staff Sergeant Michael Olis to inform them that their son would be posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor for heroically sacrificing his life in Afghanistan over a decade ago. Robert and Linda Olis were in the kitchen of their Staten Island home when the commander-in-chief greeted the couple on the phone and asked how they were holding up, according to a video that was posted on the SSG Michael Olis Freedom Foundation Facebook page. We're very nervous, Robert said on the speakerphone. Yeah, you're talking to the President of the United States, I imagine. Trump said, you should be, because your son is going to get the highest honor that you can have. There is no higher honor than the Congressional Medal of Honor. The soldier's father's eyes lit up at that announcement. It's a heart-warming, in a way, video to watch on Facebook. Trump saying he's looking down at you right now. He's saying, well, my mom and dad are handling this pretty well. Olis was just 24 years old, serving as an Army infantryman when he was killed in Afghanistan on August 28, 2013, during a Taliban attack on Forward Operating Base Ghazni. In the chaos of the attack, Olis threw himself between a suicide bomber and a Polish officer, absorbing the deadly blast and laying down his life in an act of pure selflessness. Witnesses said his actions likely protected more than 40 service members and civilians on the base. Olis was initially awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, the Army's second highest combat award, before efforts began to elevate to get him the Medal of Honor. After years of advocacy by his family, veterans groups, elected officials, most notably Representative Nicole Malatakis, and the Staten Island community, Trump approved the nation's highest military honor for Olis. So a heartwarming video if you have the opportunity to search that online. Trump also spoke. We're going to move fast this morning because later on in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking with a newish executive director, Aaron Coe of the Rockwell Museum. They're celebrating 50 years, which is hard to believe. She's going to tell you about all of the events surrounding the 50-year celebration. It is a year-long event. It has already begun. So we'll hear from her in the 7 o'clock hour. But President Trump held a long and thorough call yesterday with Chinese President Xi Jinping as Xi carries out a purge of senior military leaders to cement his 13-year grip on power. Trump, and this is what's amazing. I know we talk about this a lot with the Trump news cycle, if you will. This came out a little before noon yesterday, which is a relatively big story, and is buried by other headlines by this morning. But Trump went to Truth Social, and said, I've just completed an excellent telephone conversation with President Xi of China. It was a long and thorough call. He said the men discussed trade, military, and the April trip that I'll be making in China, which I very much look forward to. The conversation also touched on Taiwan, the war between Russia and Ukraine, the current situation with Iran, the purchase of oil and gas by China from the United States, and trade in soybeans and airplane engines. The relationship with China and my personal relationship with President Xi is an extremely good one, and we both realize how important it is to keep it that way. All right. Also, the U.S.-Iran nuclear talks are back on. There was some news yesterday that they may have fallen apart, but plans for the U.S.-Iran nuclear talks on Friday, tomorrow, are back on after several Middle Eastern leaders urgently lobbied the Trump administration not to follow through on threats to walk away. The talks will be held in Oman, as Iran insisted, despite the U.S. initially rejecting changes to the original plan to meet in Istanbul. The standoff had sparked fears across the Middle East that President Trump would pivot to military action. At least 9 countries from the region reached out to the White House at the highest levels, strongly urging the U.S. not to cancel the meeting. One U.S. official said, and this is coming from Axios, take it with a grain of salt, they asked us to keep the meeting and listen to what the Iranians have to say. We have told the Arabs that we will do the meeting if they insist, but we are very skeptical. A second U.S. official said the Trump administration agreed to hold the meeting to be respectful to U.S. allies in the region and in order to continue pursuing the diplomatic track. But just a few hours ago, it was reported that President Trump warned Iran's supreme leader that they should be, quote, very worried as both sides prepare for that formal negotiation, the first formal negotiation since the U.S. bombed Tehran's nuclear program last year. Tensions between the two countries have escalated sharply in recent weeks following a deadly crackdown by Iranian security forces on the anti-government protests. We've heard tragic numbers on how many have allegedly been killed by the regime, those protesters, and keeping people now in their homes, scared to walk out on the streets for the chance of getting shot by the Iranian security forces. Trump, it said here, it prompted Trump to send a U.S. military armada. If you recall, I believe that was last week. Iran's military has warned that any attack would be met with immediate and decisive response, including strikes on U.S. forces and assets in the region. President Trump told NBC News in an interview yesterday, I would say he, meaning the Supreme Leader Ayatollah al-Khamenei, should be very worried. Yeah, he should be. Now, it does seem that both sides have a little bit of different agenda for the upcoming negotiations. Marco Rubio confirmed that the Trump administration wants negotiations to focus on not only Iran's nuclear program, but also the range of their ballistic missiles, their sponsorship of terrorist organizations across the region, and the treatment of their own people. That's Secretary of State Marco Rubio. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that. Now, we know a little bit when Iran had sent those drones in that attack, they're a little bit of a paper tiger, where they're a lot of bluster is what it looks like, and they lost a lot of credibility in what was once considered, and I think there's still, I don't think it's something we should take lightly, but the the axis of evil, which was China, Russia, and Iran. Iran was kind of knocked down a peg after that. Now, also in an update, the Hamas terrorist who murdered surveillance soldier Corporal Noah Marchione while she was held captive in Gaza has been eliminated, according to the Israel Defense Forces. The strike on a group of terrorists, including Muhammad Izam Hassan al-Habib, had reportedly followed a Hamas attack overnight that wounded IDF troops in northern Gaza in a violation of the ceasefire agreement. Al-Habil, a key Hamas cell commander, was killed in the airstrike in Gaza's city refugee camp. Quote, in response to the blatant violation of the ceasefire agreement overnight, earlier today, the IDF and ISA struck and eliminated the terrorist Muhammad Izam Hassan al-Habib, head of Hamas's terrorist cell. The IDF also said that via Israeli security agency questioning that al-Habib had brutally murdered Marcione, 19, while in captivity. I wonder if it's Marciano. I'm probably, yeah, spelled the same as Rocky Marciano. So Marciano, I apologize. Noah Marciano. The IDF soldier had been abducted at the outpost during the terrorist organization's October 7th massacre. She was wounded in an IDF airstrike on November 9th, 2023, while being held by Hamas, and was later taken to the Shifa hospital in Gaza. At the time, Hamas claimed Marciano died in an Israeli airstrike. Her body was eventually recovered by Israeli forces and returned to Israel for burial, where she had lived with her family. Okay, we have a couple other updates we need to get to. Then we're going to dive in updates from stories we brought to you over the week. We are going to get into, obviously, Tom Homan with his big announcement yesterday of withdrawing 700 or drawdown of 700 federal personnel in Minneapolis. We're going to see some of the rhetoric coming from the left on that. We also have quite a few New York updates, and as I said, an exciting interview about the Rockwell's 50th anniversary. Tomorrow on the program, by the way, before we go to break, we'll hear from Drumline, the cast of Drumline. Now, the cast is about 30-some people, so we were lucky enough to get 3 of the cast members, 1/10 of the cast members, but we look forward to hearing all about Drumline Live, which is coming to the Clemens Center, and I know it's going to be a fun, action-packed show. It's February 11th at 7:30, so that'll be on tomorrow's broadcast, and we already look to be booked up next week, but I'll keep you updated on that. All right. Stay with us. A couple waves coming in. Keep those comments coming in. A little quiet this morning. I don't blame you. It's cold. We got a lot to cover. We want to catch up before we start having our great conversation. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tubs and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
The best hockey rink?
Ask Google. The best jewelry store? Ask Google.
The best Ram dealer?
Ask Google. We did. Google reviews from customers rank Ferrario Ram in Elmira the highest Ram dealer in our area.
If you don't see me, I can't save you any money.
Check out the new Rams with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty during Ram Truck Month.
Visit Ferrario in Elmira or at Ferrario.com.
Let's say this is your head. It's way too easy to let it fill up with the wrong stuff. Anxieties, pressure, worries, school, social life, family problems. You can do nothing and keep it all in. Much better to let it out. Talk to friends, parents, a trusted teacher. A solid first step you can take is visit yourlifeyourvoice.org. You'll find proven, practical ideas that can help you get back on track. You only have one head. Look after it.
Happy Thursday, everyone, and thanks for checking in. 24 today, well below the average of 34. Winds will be pretty light out of the west-northwest, but the clouds will be thickening up from the north and west here today as we have another clipper on the way for tomorrow. That'll bring us some scattered snow showers, some minor accumulations into the early part of the day Saturday. But look at that. More importantly, we do have another shot of very cold air, 9 for the high on Saturday, and then waking up to 1 below on
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Listen to these great comments. Good morning, Frank. Have a wonderful day. Well, thank you. You have a wonderful day as well. Comment from a different viewer. Hi from Canisteo. You're doing great. Well, thanks for watching in Canisteo. What's going on today in Canisteo? We appreciate that. That's another wave. See, all I have to do is beg for waves. All right, Trump endorsed a prosecutor and former military vet, or a military vet, I should say, to fill Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat in Georgia's 14th district. Clay Fuller, a prosecutor and Air National Guard officer for Georgia's 14th congressional district seat, to fill the vacancy left by Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has been making the rounds. She says now that MAGA was all a lie. She's turned on Trump. She likes the attention she gets from The View. It's been a tradition for many Republicans to do this, the Liz Cheneys of the world. We can go back throughout history. Republicans have quite a reputation for turning on their own party because you know what happens? They get that attention from the media that they crave so bad, the cool kids in the media, which I know you and I don't agree with that statement, but for whatever reason, that's how they see the media, and they want to be liked, not knowing that they're being used kind of as a useful idiot to further the media's political agenda, and that media will turn on you as soon as you express any type of conservative values again. I think the prime example of that is John McCain. John McCain believed that he was loved by the media until he became, because he was a maverick, because he always went against the Republican Party. So he did that, and the media liked him, and then he got the nomination to run for president, and they turned on him quicker than you can imagine. You recall it at the time, though. Trump made the announcement yesterday via Truth Social. As district attorney for the Lookout Mountain Judicial Circuit and Air National Guard officer, Clay knows the wisdom and courage required to defend our country, support our brave military veterans, and ensure peace through strength. As your next congressman, Clay will fight tirelessly to grow the economy, cut taxes and regulation, promote Made in the USA, unleash American energy dominance, keep our border secure, stop migrant crime, safeguard our elections, champion school choice, and defend our always under siege Second Amendment. So there you go, just as an update. By the way, Trump will be sitting for a Super Bowl interview, which is interesting. I only say it's interesting because that's kind of when a lot of red flags went off over Joe Biden. Now, we had already been concerned about his mental decline and physical decline for quite some time at that point. But when he turned down that softball Super Bowl interview, many people, even some people in his own party, started to look a little side-eyed and say, what's going on here? Well, the president, who's not going to attend the Super Bowl in person like he did last year, but he is going to do the sit-down interview with news anchor Tom Lamas, and that always airs in the pregame show. So he will be, and I just mentioned it because when Biden turned it down, that was quite the story. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about Melania. I know I'm jumping around. There's no segues. But I have so much to get to this morning, and I want to spend as much time as possible with our guest to hear about the Rockwood Museum's 50th anniversary. Well, First Lady Melania Trump met with Keith and Aviva Siegel, who were taken hostage by Hamas on October 7th of 2023. The Siegels were taken from their home, and Aviva was held captive for 51 days, while Keith was held captive for 484 days. Keith was released from captivity after a meeting between the First Lady and Aviva, which helped set his release in motion. Wednesday's meeting comes after Hamas returned the last deceased hostage, Ran Gavil, last month. Keith emotionally told the First Lady, "I want to start by saying thank you to the First Lady Melania Trump and to President Trump. I want to thank you for being a caring, compassionate person, for supporting and helping Aviva during these difficult days, and you helped me enormously in many ways. It's an honor, it's a privilege, and I'm eternally grateful, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to say that to you. And I'm eternally grateful to you and President Trump for bringing me home and for bringing all the hostages back to their families." Keith also thanked the First Lady for featuring Aviva in the Melania documentary. Aviva thanked the First Lady for their meeting before Keith's release, saying, "When we met before Keith came home, you gave me so much hope, and I could feel your heart with me. And I knew how important it is, and it was for you to go back home and talk to President Trump and share your feelings. Bringing hostages home was the most important thing that I could think about in this world. And now it's all over the world. And the bad things that Hamas did to my husband, but I'm lucky." The First Lady took a few questions at the end of the meeting, with one reporter absurdly suggesting the meeting was a promotion of the First Lady's documentary film Melania. Does that show you a little bit about the bias of the media? Now, we could talk all day long about how the fact that Melania, they don't put her on the cover of magazines like they do other First Ladies. We can talk about the fact that they always do, when they do talk about her, it's these kind of hit pieces. But think of, you use this touching meeting between these released hostages and the First Lady, and a reporter trying to make a name for themselves says, "Why do you feel it's appropriate to use an official White House event to promote your documentary?" That is the question. Now, you can't even say that reeks of bias. That's the definition of bias. Why do you feel it's appropriate? Already coming in from a negative standpoint, already coming in suggesting that this reporter knows better or is morally superior to the First Lady. Why do you feel it's appropriate to use an official White House event to promote your documentary? The First Lady responded, "This is not promotion. We are here celebrating the release of the hostages of Aviva and Keith." Unbelievable. It shows you the media, but let's talk about Melania for a moment. If you want to talk about bias, Amazon has pulled the Melania documentary from an Oregon movie theater because the Oregon movie theater thought, well, we're going to play this movie, but have a marquee out front featuring jokes about the film, including, "Does Melania wear Prada? Find out Friday." Lake Theater and Cafe in Lake Oswego said executives at Amazon were infuriated over the advertisements that also featured, quote, "To defeat your enemy, you must know them. Melania starts Friday." That's in a reference to The Art of War. So really just having this film in their theater so that they can mock and ridicule the First Lady, but they're getting what they want because they're getting the promotion, and you'll have kind of the left wing, which is a lot of Oregon, visiting because of their stance and their bravery. So that was their tagline on the marquee: "To defeat your enemy," so Melania is their enemy, "you must know them. Melania starts Friday." So the Lake Theater took to Instagram because, of course, isn't all the protests, all of these type of things, Billie Eilish's speech, et cetera, isn't it all about likes and views and shares on social media? This is what they said. "Got a call that the higher-ups, i.e. at Amazon, were upset with how our marquee marketed their movie. That, per them, Sunday would be its last day here." Okay. Anyway, the manager said the studio was not happy and or did not appreciate my take on marketing their film to our own public. Perry expressed to the outlet that he wasn't entirely upset by the move to pull the film, noting in the Instagram statement that the theater got countless emails and voicemails and Google Yelp reviews wondering why we had Melania here or disdaining our disparaging of her. The marquee was subsequently changed to say, "Amazon called, our marquee made them mad, all Melania showings canceled. Show your support at Whole Foods instead. Join Amazon Prime for free 2-day shipping," according to their photos. So being snarky. So that's, well, It's the whole pop culture thing we've been talking about, and I do have a couple updates kind of on that to show you this protest mentality. Then we're going to get into Minnesota, or Minneapolis specifically. We're also going to be talking about New York State issues. Your thoughts on Governor Hochul's pick for lieutenant governor? I think we're all learning a little bit about her. Adrienne Adams. She was, I think, a former ex-New York City Council speaker. So we'll tell you a little bit about her later on in the broadcast. Running late, keep those comments, keep those waves coming in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
It's tax time, and Current Power Sports is here to help your refund go further. For the month of February, we're covering the sales tax on any new CF Moto machine purchase, plus select accessories. That means big savings on machines built to work hard, ride far, and handle anything you could throw at them. Why pay more than you have to? Let us cover the tax. Stop by Current Power Sports in Wellsboro, Pennsylvania, or Pine City, New York, and save big on your next CF Moto. Limitations apply. See store for details.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and the drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
Thursday, everyone, and thanks for checking in. 24 today, well below the average of 34. Winds will be pretty light out of the west-northwest, but the clouds will be thickening up from the north and west here today as we have another clipper on the way for tomorrow. That'll bring us some scattered snow showers, some minor accumulations into the early part of the day Saturday. But look at that. More importantly, we do have another shot of very cold air, 9 for the high on Saturday, and then waking up to 1 below on Sunday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. I got some comments coming in here. Let me just compile them for just a second. All right, here we go. This viewer writes, if Hochul wins, God help us. Okay. I get your point, but we'll just leave it at that. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. For one, I'm thrilled that Melania is getting some positive attention. I have not seen the movie yet, but I am anxious to. The way she was ignored during the first term was sickening, but not surprising. I agree with you. I'm excited to see Melania. Full disclosure, I'm not really a theater guy anymore, and I don't know what that is. I just kind of want to watch it from my home, probably like you do, right? I think that's why it's going to be, and why they were willing to spend the money that they did. It was very successful in the theaters, but I think it was more about attracting people, even more people to Amazon Prime, and having that great level of film to show and to click on. So I'm with you. The lack of coverage or the mocking coverage of Melania is sickening. Again, it's been said a million times. I'm not the first one to say it at all. But the fact that she isn't on magazines all the time, Vogue, all of those, when we've had Dr. Jill was on, Michelle Obama, of course, quite a few times. But Melania, a former model, not asked to be on the front cover. It speaks volumes about what we're dealing with when it comes to pop culture and the media, and that's why I tie this in. We've talked enough about Bad Bunny being at the Super Bowl halftime performance. He isn't toning it down. He's getting more political in the run-up to the Super Bowl. The Washington Post says MAGA is fuming. Musician's anti-ice comments sparked backlash ahead of the Super Bowl halftime performance. He had the ice out pin. I guess, again, it's what the NFL thinks of you, however you want to judge that. But the reason I bring that up is because we had at the Grammys a lot of anti-ice sentiment. We don't need to rehash that. We've talked about it enough. But Miranda Devine has a point on this that I've heard no one else make, and I wasn't even really aware of. Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson continues to dismay. Her attendance at the partisan anti-ice Grammy Awards on Sunday was a joke. The 55-year-old Biden candidate was nominated for a Grammy for narrating the audiobook of her memoir, Lovely One, which she unashamedly believes herself to be, the lovely one. Yeah. And again, another example of the bias. You will never see a conservative winning a Grammy for their audiobook. But she should have stayed home rather than laughing and clapping in the audience with a bunch of virtue signaling celebrities ranting blank ice every time they got on stage. It should have been obvious to Jackson that the event would be politically charged. She has to sit in judgment on various Trump administration immigration enforcement cases. How can she be seen now as impartial if she's clapping and laughing along? Answer is she cannot. Any more than she can be impartial on transgender-related cases after she refused to define a woman during her 2022 Senate confirmation. I am not a biologist, she replied to Senator Marsha Blackburn's question, possibly the most embarrassing answer ever provided to Congress by a judicial nominee. Using the same rulebook Democrats have used in their prolonged attacks on conservative-leaning justices, Jackson should recuse herself from all immigration cases due to her enthusiastic involvement in the anti-ICE Grammys. After all, the left has waged a years-long campaign to get Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito thrown off the court for such sins as holidaying with a friend who happens to be wealthy, in Thomas's case, or in Alito's case, having a wife who flew a patriotic flag outside her home. Liberals are sticklers about the appearance of propriety, but only for their perceived ideological opponents. Of course, Jackson won't recuse herself or enduring any effective undermining from Republicans, despite the fact that she is a left-wing activist in judicial robes, who gabs inanely during oral arguments and writes nonsensical dissents attacking her fellow justices. The real problem with Jackson is her inability to think logically or in any way that departs from the liberal soup that she has swum in her entire privileged life. It's not really her fault that she's in this position. She doesn't know any better, having been told all her life how special she is, when she appears not to be anything but a diligent girl who has followed a golden path. And then Miranda Devine goes through the whole history of her, and I don't think we need to go through all of that. But yeah, well, I don't want to go through all that. But I thought that was a very good point. If you're going to go to an anti-ICE Grammy Awards, clap when they're saying blank ice. If we're using the same playbook as the left would call for her to recuse herself, to step down. And of course, we know she will not do that, because when someone is picked for the Supreme Court that is liberal, they better be 100% in line with liberal beliefs. That has always been the case. Conservatives, unfortunately, as we've seen time and time again, actually very often on the court will come up with some kind of controversial decision that tends to lean more to the left. Not all of them, but we've seen that. So the left on the court are always 100% in lockstep, where the right, that's not always the case. But since we're talking about protest culture, this seems like one of the more insane ones. U.S. Olympic officials have changed the name of an athlete hospitality space. So at the games, the Olympic Games, they have an athlete hospitality suite, where the athletes go and get refreshed, whatever the case may be. They used to call it the Ice House. But why do you think they had to change it? Because of the outrage that it could say ice. So now the word ice itself is controversial. It is triggering athletes and others at the Olympic Games. It is disturbing them. They may even lose sleep. It may cost them their gold medal, because they'll be so in their head about the fact that their hospitality suite is called Ice House. It is now called Winter House. The venue has been billed by the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee as an athlete-first space where U.S. figure skaters, hockey players, speed skaters, and their families can gather in what is normally a boutique-style hotel in the heart of Milan. Okay. So it was Ice House. No longer. It is now the Winter House because of outrage, because of protests against ice. Okay. U.S. figure skater Amber Glenn said, I think it's wise. It's unfortunate that the term ice isn't something we can embrace because of what's happening and the implications of what some individuals are doing. Unfortunately, in my own country, it is very upsetting and very distressing to see. And I can't imagine how people who have been impacted by that directly feel. So I think that it's wise and we change something as minute as a name, if it is able to make anyone feel more comfortable. Yes, we should do everything in our lives, and every big business, every company, every media outlet should do everything in their lives to make people just a little more comfortable. If you can just change one thing, think of how absurd this is. It didn't say pro ice. It didn't say go ice. The suite was called Ice House due to the nature of the fact that you have figure skaters, hockey players on the ice. Now that is controversial, and you have the Winter House. This is how absurd. This is so reminiscent of the extreme days, which are still, I think, among us, of the woke culture. And that gives an opportunity like that U.S. athlete and others to go on a long lecture about how bad ice is. That is how absurd things have become. But we're going to talk a little bit about Minneapolis. So we do have, as I keep saying, New York updates. I know I'm running just a little bit late, so stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
It's the home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer. Create with the 3D printer. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine rentals. Or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to your local library today.
Suburban 8 is here for your residential and industrial propane needs. Serving the surrounding area for over 95 years, we take pride in our reliable delivery service with 24/7, 365 emergency service answered by company representatives. Call today to start your Suburban propane service.
Did you know that children growing up with poor air quality have smaller lungs and higher rates of asthma than children that grow up with good air quality? And unfortunately, poor communities have poor air quality. IQ Air Foundation is working to change this. Today, the IQ Air Foundation provides filtration technology to schools with poor air quality through our Clean Air for Kids program. Our goal is to help over 50,000 school children every year breathe over 90% cleaner air indoors, helping to level the playing field, reduce barriers to learning, reduce sick days, and increase test scores. Mitigating poor air quality is key to environmental justice. Help Clean Air for Kids reach more children at IQAirFoundation.org.
Happy Thursday, everyone, and thanks for checking in. 24 today, well below the average of 34. Winds will be pretty light out of the west-northwest, but the clouds will be thickening up from the north and west here today as we have another clipper on the way for tomorrow. That'll bring us some scattered snow showers, some minor accumulations into the early part of the day Saturday. But look at that. More importantly, we do have another shot of very cold air, 9 for the high on Saturday, and then waking up to 1 below on Sunday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Let's go to some viewer comments, shall we? I'd love to see Ice arrest Bad Bunny during his Super Bowl concert. There was actually kind of like I don't know if you want to say lightheartedly, but that was one of the things that people were concerned about with Bad Bunny being tapped to perform at the halftime show. But this viewer says, I'll be watching the Turning Point USA halftime show. Bummer, I'll have to catch the arrest on the news. I don't think you'll be catching that. But there were people on the left that were saying, well, this is going to be a setup to arrest Bad Bunny. Comment from a different viewer. I have to say, I think, okay. I'm glad you mentioned this. I didn't know if I get a chance to talk about it. Scott Besant is doing an amazing job. I have to say, I think Scott Besant is doing an amazing job. And to face Maxine Waters and others the way he did was delicious. He calmly pointed out how ridiculous their behavior is, but we all know by now you can't embarrass those crazies. Yeah, if you've not seen that video where Maxine Waters at one point tells Scott Besant, to shut up. Will you be the voice of reason, Maxine Waters asks. Will you be the voice of reason in the administration and urge Trump to stop waging a war on American consumers? Yes or no? I know for many of us the kind of yes or no thing is a pet peeve because it's used for political grandstanding in most cases. Besant responded, you seem confused as to the definition of inflation. So Waters, of course, interrupted to re-ask the question. The two then began talking over each other, with Besant noting that the Biden administration let in between 10 and 20 million immigrants who took up the housing stock of working Americans. That's when Waters, probably not liking what Besant had to say and accidentally giving him kind of a soapbox to say it, she said, can you shut him up? And Besant replied perfectly. I'll use that viewer's word, deliciously, responds, can you maintain some level of dignity? Then, of course, Waters complained that Besant took up all her time. Anyway, yes, if you've not watched that video, thank you for mentioning it. If you've not watched that video, I highly recommend it. Okay, comment from a different viewer. If a minority of kooks don't like the word ice, then what are they going to call the stuff that cools their drinks? Or the slippery stuff that accumulates during the winter months? The irony of it is they're ice skaters. The ice house was made for the hockey players, the figure skaters. So people whose whole lives have been dedicated to the ice now are offended by the word ice. And if it makes one person feel more comfortable, isn't it all worth it? So I don't know what they'll call the ice rinks, their ice skates. I don't know if they're going to change it. They won't probably address it. Because all they need is their one chance to kind of virtue signal and get up there and say, we don't want it called Ice House anymore. We want a winter house because ice, and then they can go on their rant. Okay, as an update from yesterday's show, that fed up DHS lawyer who told a judge that her job will say stinks and that she wished to be held in contempt so she could have a full 24-hour sleep. Well, I think it's needless to say she's no longer detailed to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Minnesota. Julie Lee, who is listed in public records as an attorney for the Department of Homeland Security and was detailed to the U.S. Attorney's Office, expressed immense frustration with her job during a hearing in St. Paul, Minnesota, saying, what do you want me to do? The system stinks. This job stinks, and I'm trying with every breath that I have so that I can get you what you need. Sounds like she was frustrated with the kind of the bureaucracy and the red tape and everything the judge demanded, which is probably a way to kind of slow down the process. She also said, I wish you would just hold me in contempt, Your Honor, so that I can have a full 24 hours of sleep. I work day and night just because people are still in there. Lee, who has picked up 88 cases in less than a month. The exhausted attorney added that it was like pulling teeth to get the DHS, ICE, and the Justice Department to follow court orders. So she is out of a job. Now, as mentioned, Tom Homan announced yesterday of the drawdown of 700 federal personnel in Minneapolis. This was announced yesterday. That leaves it right around 2,000 feds in the Twin Cities. He credited the drawdown, for which Democratic elected officials and left-wing protesters have clamored for since late last year, to unprecedented cooperation from local officials and touted significant progress in the state since he took over Operation Metro Surge. In particular, Homan said the increased cooperation between county jails and immigration and customs enforcement made the drawdown possible, saying, quote, as a result of the need for less law enforcement officers to do the work in a safer environment, I've announced effective immediately we will draw down 700 people effective today. Ultimately, the goal is to have a complete drawdown and get back to the original footprint of about 150 feds on the ground. But he did warn that the outcome was contingent on local cooperation. My goal was, with the support of President Trump, to achieve a complete drawdown and the surge as soon as we can. But that is largely contingent upon the end of the illegal and threatening activities against ICE. We will not draw down on personnel providing security for our officers. I will not let our officers be put at risk. So we will not draw down on personnel providing security and that are responding to hostile incidents. The drawdown order was not extended to the federal agents dispatched to Minnesota for a sweeping benefits fraud investigation because they're going to finish their job, Holman said. So we want to make that clear. When we're talking about the fraud investigation that actually caused Governor Walz to not run for re-election, and we're going to learn a lot more about that. And people are saying it's just as bad in New York. I know we've said it for a long time, and many viewers have said it, but New York's runaway $115 billion Medicaid gravy train needs oversight, according to Chadwick Moore. We may get to that in a little bit, but Holman making it clear that the federal agents will still be there investigating the fraud. Now, at one point, there was roughly 3,000 federal immigration officers in Minneapolis, which has a police force of about 600 people. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt confirmed Holman's announcement because became possible after local officials agreed to coordinate with ICE to transfer custody of criminal aliens upon their release. This is one of the conditions President Trump set for a drawdown. These commitments have been made by local officials and will continue to be monitored for compliance. Okay. We got to take a short break. We'll tell you what some people had to say about this. We do need to get into New York State issues because I know this hour is already going quickly. And in the next hour, we're going to be talking about the Rockwell Museum's 50th anniversary celebration, which is taking place all year long. You're going to hear about that in the next hour. Don't forget, tomorrow, we're going to hear about Drumline live at the Clements Center on February 11th. That's going to be a fun interview. Trust me, because it was pre-recorded. I know it's going to be fun. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Accident. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business.
The Health Class Film Guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
Happy Thursday, everyone, and thanks for checking in. 24 today, well below the average of 34. Winds will be pretty light out of the west-northwest, but the clouds will be thickening up from the north and west here today as we have another clipper on the way for tomorrow. That'll bring us some scattered snow showers, some minor accumulations into the early part of the day Saturday. But look at that. More importantly, we do have another shot of very cold air, 9 for the high on Saturday, and then waking up to 1 below on Sunday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to some viewer comments. Our Constitution does not grant a federal district judge any authority on immigration matters. That authority is given to the Federal Appeals Court, and those matters can only be heard by an immigration law court. Thank you very much. Comment from a different viewer. Wake up, New York. My opinion is Hochul is just a Biden mini-me running what they're in charge of into the dirt. Thank you very much. Comment from a different viewer. Oh, this is so much. Everybody's upset with these Olympians, and I can't blame you. The Olympians were so offended, so aggrieved that they were losing sleep. They probably couldn't practice in the way they wanted to. Maybe couldn't eat because the luxury suite where they and their family could spend some downtime, was called Ice House because they're ice skaters and hockey players. And they spend their life on the ice. The place was called Ice House. Well, needless to say, because of ice, it was offensive. And now it's Winter House. So this viewer says, Frank, oh no more ice cream. That's true. They'll have to, what would they call it? They'll have to find different alternatives for a nice snack, especially in the summer, because we know ice cream, I'm sure loved by many in the Olympic community, but we don't want anybody aggrieved. Comment from Mark, who says, good morning. Good morning, Mark. I believe they should have Vanilla Ice at the halftime show, seeing that they don't like the name Ice. Sure, and his big hit, Ice Ice Baby, like Mark mentions. I don't see the NFL embracing that. Comment from a different viewer. I'll bet the majority of ice skaters love the ice and don't even equate it with the customs enforcement. Rather, the corrupt media that has to run with it every chance they get. That's a very good point. In my opinion, the media is our number one enemy and needs to be addressed and handled. Without trust in authentic journalism, we are being put at risk and are seeing the results. And we see that a little bit from the FCC. And we've seen that with the lawsuits from President Trump because many in the media, and we've talked about the bias all morning long, have been pushing this bias, pushing this hatred of Trump for over 10 years. And in this case, I do think they use opportunities like this to let the athletes and others have a soapbox to push their anti-ice agenda. I mean, none of us were surprised when that's exactly what the Grammys turned into be. So none of us were surprised. I know there's been a lot of backlash over that for some. But I do have a couple other things on this when we come back. I realize I'm running late already. We've been moving quickly this morning. We've covered a lot, and I do appreciate you joining us. I know a lot of people now people are upset about ice cream. I know. Biden loved ice cream, said one viewer. That's a good point. He was a big fan of ice cream because the media, speaking of the media, they'd always ask him the tough questions, like what his favorite ice cream was. And that's what that Super Bowl interview would have been, essentially, that he refused to do. And that's when, again, a lot of people started to wonder about the mental decline. But yes, Biden did love ice cream. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Having a safe home is essential to many aspects of our lives. From a sense of community and safety, to physical and mental health, to economic security and independence. Most homes in our communities are not accessible and are not designed to accommodate the changes that come with age, including the risk of falling. The Older Adults Home Modification Program helps reduce the risk of falls, improves safety, and increases accessibility and independence. Through this program, Rebuilding Together works with older adults to provide no-cost preventative home repairs so our neighbors can safely age in place in the homes and communities they love. To learn more, visit rebuildingtogether.org/safeathome.
Thursday, everyone, and thanks for checking in. 24 today, well below the average of 34. Winds will be pretty light out of the west-northwest, but the clouds will be thickening up from the north and west here today as we have another clipper on the way for tomorrow. That'll bring us some scattered snow showers, some minor accumulations into the early part of the day Saturday. But look at that. More importantly, we do have another shot of very cold air, 9 for the high on Saturday, and then waking up to 1 below on Sunday morning.
Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Comment from a viewer, just an off-topic thought. I wonder how Hochul and the rest of the environmental nuts would explain these weeks of well below average temperatures. Drill, baby, drill. Well, they're saying there's going to be, well, we talked about it with Assemblyman Phil Palmisano and Joe Zemplinsky, this idea of kind of exiting the green energy policies of the past a little bit. And I think, as Phil said, it's a little bit of a campaign year, and also some of the things just weren't obtainable. It's very nice to say, for instance, today, we're going to fix the world by 2030, and then in a blink of an eye, 2030's here, and you go, oh yeah, we didn't. It's impossible. So to your point, and I hope I can get to it in the next hour, to that viewer's point, it's by Bjorn Lomberg at New York Post, saying reality is finally crashing New York's utopian green energy party. So we'll talk about that. A couple quick things about the drawdown of troops. Jacob Frey, the Minneapolis mayor, says that 700 ICE agents leaving Minneapolis is still not a de-escalation. He's right that a softer touch has been required. The drawdown of both federal agents as well as the implementation of body cameras is obviously a step in the right direction. That being said, the continued presence of 2,000 federal agents in a city that only has 600 police officers is still not de-escalation. So we have been very clear that Operation Metro Surge needs to end. The restoration, peace of safety, and rejuvenation of small local businesses throughout our city depends on one main thing, which is for ICE to leave. And so that continues to be our position. Democrat Senator Alex Padilla from California said that the White House, quote, has blood on their hands. Here's another example of how this White House has blood on their hands. After the fatal shooting of Renee Good, when there should be normally an independent and credible investigation, that's not the White House called for. They attacked her reputation, and went as far as suggesting that all these federal agents on the ground have complete immunity. Their words, not mine. First of all, it's wrong. Second, it sends the opposite message that professional law enforcement should hear, because there is and should be accountability when there is use of force. Anyway, so the White House has blood on their hands. On MSN Now's program, The Weeknight, co-host Michael Steele responded to border czar Tom Homan, mentioning deporting illegal aliens by stating that, quote, the only aliens are Homan and his thugs. Those are the aliens here. He also said that Homan is telling all of us, you're on the list, and you're an alien, you're gone. This is not the American spirit or the American way. Mr. Homan is telling us, not just Hispanics and other people of color, but all of us, you're on the list and you're an alien, you're gone. So the only aliens are Homan and his thugs. Now, Rand Paul, and your thoughts on this, and I got a couple of weird updates that we'll get to in the next hour, but we'll probably jump right into the next hour with New York State updates. And then I've got a couple of interesting opinion pieces I want to get your take on. But just wrapping up Minneapolis, Rand Paul believes ICE agents wearing masks is inappropriate. I think the anonymity and wearing a mask leads to less responsible behavior. I'm not saying there might not be a value on the border where the cartels are running large and things are a little bit more murky and mayors' heads are being chopped off. I have a little more sympathy there. The images where I've seen ICE agents in masks in an elevator in a courthouse in Chicago, I think are inappropriate. Now we know that's for doxing reasons, because you start to put the families of the agents in harm's way. But Rand Paul against the masks. Your thought on that? And finally, Steve Bannon, the ex-Trump advisor, had a what's the term about it? Had an idea for the midterms. He calls for immigration agents at polling sites during the midterm. He said, "You're darn right. We're going to have ICE surrounding the polls come November." Your thoughts on that? All right. Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2, moments away, we're going to be talking with the Rockwell Museum's Executive Director, Erin Coe. She'll be joining us in the next hour, so you'll hear all about the 50th anniversary celebration. So stay with us. We'll be right back with hour number 2.
Everyone knows William Attar. Everyone knows James Cook. But what you probably don't know is that they bonded when Bill suggested to let James cook.
Delicious.
And James said they should just share the number 4.
Nice.
Now they're teaming up to raise money for Build Promise.
Get this t-shirt at BuildPromise.com For a limited time, if you purchase this t-shirt, a portion of the proceeds go to Build Promise.
What's our stories? The warmth of our laugh? Or our family's secret sauce? We all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/team up.
New York State is putting nearly $60 million towards improving key roadways across the southern tier.
Many older homes are still at risk for exposing residents to high levels of lead.
The Nani Hood Parent Resource Center once again brought the community together for its annual Halloween parade.
Around the southern tier, Finger Lake stands out for its scenery and wine scene. This year's dry drought brought some positives to the crop. Lee Com Center is looking for fans to show up and show out.
And we welcome you to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Hakem. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio here on Market Street in Corning. It's so cold, I think our roof cam froze up. Just checking that out. We do have some comments we'll get to in a little bit. I want to just do a little bit of housekeeping here. The Rockwell Museum celebrating 50 years. We'll be talking to them in about 10 minutes here. Tomorrow we'll hear all about Drumline Live at the Clemens Center. That sounds like it's going to be a blast. It's on February 11th, and that interview will be on Friday. Next week we're going to learn about Barbershop Quartet. The Mark Twain Choir is going to come in. Mark Twain Chorus is going to come in next week. Do a little singing, but also tell you how you can book them for Valentine's Day surprises for your sweetheart. So you won't want to miss that. And we're also going to learn, and I don't know anything about it, and that's why I'm excited to learn more about it. It's next weekend. You are to track, if you want to, no one's forcing you, track birds in your yards or places you're at and report back. It's kind of an interesting thing done by Cornell to kind of understand migration, but also populations, things like that. So we've got some interesting ones. It's that time of year. All right, I wanted to mention this as an update from yesterday and just get your, do I want to? I said I was going to start with, I'm going to start with New York, and then we have a couple of stories I'm hoping that we can get to. But Halle Berry, before we talk about New York, because we have to mention this, I don't want to run out of time, she's doubled down. The actress Halle Berry's doubled down that she believes Gavin Newsom should not run for president. She said this at a forum that Gavin Newsom was actually attending. We brought that story to you probably a couple of months ago. Well, she wants to make it clear and not back down. She says Gavin Newsom probably should not be the next president. It's disturbing when people say they're going to do things and then they don't, she said, referring to the governor failing to contact the actress to address her concerns after he suggested he would. So she called him out at this forum. And I don't remember what the specific issue is. It'll probably come up later in this article. So she brings this up and said, I've been working tirelessly on this, and Gavin Newsom wouldn't work with us. So he says, you don't understand the budget process. I'll get a hold of you, because the media was starting to attack him on him. Not attack him, report on it. So he said, no, I'm going to get a hold of her. We're going to talk this through and we're going to get it done. Well, now, according to Halle Berry, he never did that and lied about it just to get the media coverage off of his back because he loves the coverage that he's been receiving so far. That he's guaranteed number one nominee for president, probably going to be the president. I mean, he's got this book. There are glowing reviews everywhere. So he didn't need this negative coverage coming from someone, because they're in Hollywood, you would think would be more liberal, be more supportive of him. So it was back in December that Halle Berry called into question Newsom's credibility as a future presidential candidate. She was at the New York Times Deal Book Summit, where she asserted that the governor had overlooked and is currently devaluing women. Back in the great state of California, my very own governor, Gavin Newsom, has vetoed our menopause bill, not 1, but 2 years in a row. But that's okay because he's not going to be governor forever. The way he's overlooked women, half the population, by devaluing us in midlife, he probably should not be our next president either. Just saying. So when this broke, Gavin Newsom came out and said, we're reconciling this. They included it in the budget next year. She didn't know that. Very condescending to talk to a woman, and when that's a topic like that she didn't know that. And after being asked what he believes women didn't understand about the bill, Newsom said they didn't understand that we're already in the process of fixing it. However, fast forward, and Barry still is yet to hear from Newsom or his team, even though he made the kind of knee-jerk lie to say he would talk to her, or actually lecture her. She doesn't understand what's in the bill. She doesn't get the process. So she said, but he heard what I said. If he's going to run to be our next president, he can't sleep on women. Wake up, Gavin. There you are. Okay, now to New York. So remember the court order that happened back on, all the way back on January 21st. Judge Jeffrey Perlman ruled New York's 11th congressional district was unconstitutional. That district, he said, was, I think, discriminating against Hispanics and the minority community, even though the map was approved by Hochul. It had been that way. I think that district had stayed relatively the same for something like 45 years. It was obviously an activist judge trying to take away a congressional seat from Republicans because it was the only New York City that had district that had parts of New York City in it that was Republican. Nicole Malatakis, who ironically I think has a Hispanic background, but he ruled that district was unconstitutional, ordering the state's independent redistricting commission to reconvene to draw a new map with a deadline set on February the 6th. That is tomorrow. By the way, don't buy into the line, the independent redistricting committee. It's not. So with hours left until the map is due, the independent redistricting commission says they have no meetings scheduled this week. Following the Perlman decision, Nicole Malatakis filed an emergency appeal in 2 New York appellate courts, so the IRC says they are under stay pending their appeal. CBS 6 out of New York spoke with professors at New York Law School after the initial decision, and he says it's unclear what will happen if the IRC doesn't produce a map by the deadline and that the ruling prevented the current map from being used. Petitioning for, keep this in mind, and this is just not even just for Congress, just in general, if you're thinking of running for office, petitioning for potential congressional candidates is scheduled to begin on February the 24th, 19 days from now, if you're thinking of running. All right, Kathy Hochul yesterday, I just want to give you an update on that, quote-unquote, redistricting and that activist judge. Governor Hochul tapped former city council speaker Adrienne Adams to run as her number 2 as her lieutenant governor. Now, it has been reported other downstate politicians rejected the offers. Now, yesterday, Hochul said, no, I picked somebody. It's the only person I asked, and they said yes. I'll tell you later. She ultimately did tell us later. But we had reports that at least one of the people she asked previously turned her down, not once, but twice. Now, Adrienne Adams, 65, will join Hochul on the ticket as a lieutenant governor candidate just weeks after the longtime progressive Queens Democrat finished her term leading the Big Apple's legislative body. Adrienne and I are no strangers to rolling up our sleeves and getting results for working New Yorkers, Hochul said in a statement. Together, we're going to continue investing in public safety, bringing costs down, and making the state a place where all families can thrive. Adams, who it should be noted is not related to Eric Adams, the former mayor, agreed to run for the thankless, low-profile position after other potential running mates, including Queens Borough President Donovan Richards and State Senator Jamal Bali, snubbed advances to join the ticket. The governor, however, insisted this week that she had only put out one offer to a potential second-in-command, which was accepted. But some Democrats immediately revolted against the Adams pick. Listen to this. The Brooklyn Democratic Party said it is rescinding its endorsement of Hochul over this choice. So they disliked the choice of Adams so much as lieutenant governor that the Brooklyn Democrat Party has rescinded their endorsement of Governor Hochul. Now, keep in mind, Hochul's current lieutenant governor, Antonio Delgado, is challenging her in a primary. Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman, the all but likely Republican gubernatorial nominee, has yet to select a running mate. We know that Antonio Delgado, he did pick someone, and I can't remember the name now. Hochul threw shade for whatever reason at Blakeman for his close relationship to Trump as she made her lieutenant governor announcement. I don't understand this, but anyway, this is what she said. As Donald Trump attacks his state relentlessly and Bruce Blakeman bends the knee before him, I need a fighter in my corner who will stand strong for New York families. Adams worked to make housing more affordable and invest in children while also standing up to anyone who seeks to harm our city. Hochul and Adams, both grandmothers, would be the first all-woman team to run for the top 2 spots in New York government under a major party banner. Just to show you a little bit about the difference in the media, that's coming from the New York Post, perhaps some would argue a more conservative type outlet, where the New York Times, that is right after the headline. That's the lead. So Hochul chooses Andrea Adams to join her re-election ticket. That's the headline at New York Times. The lead, by choosing Miss Adams as her nominee for lieutenant governor, Governor Kathy Hochul created the first all-women major party ticket in New York State history. We found this out years ago. It is nothing new that the trend in the media is to always look for history. And sometimes it gets kind of absurd, much like when we see in stats, like if you watch sporting events, if you watch football, where it'll say, never has this many points been scored with a backup tight end on a Tuesday in December. And you go, why are they even bringing us that stat? Which, by the way, a Tuesday game would be pretty rare. But they do the same thing with politics very often, and you'll see it in the announcement on election night specifically. So Hochul and Adams are the ticket for the Democrat Party. Some powerful Democrats and Jewish politicians and activists disapproved of the choice. Brooklyn State Assemblywoman Ranisha Biko Hemelin and other leaders of the King County Democrat Committee announced Wednesday afternoon they were withdrawing their support of Hochul. This is a response to the political miscalculation on the part of the governor's campaign and their failure to engage or consult Brooklyn Democrat leaders who represent New York's largest Democratic delegation. One Jewish Democratic Party official said they also wouldn't support Hochul at the party's upcoming nominating convention in Syracuse, which is actually tomorrow, because of Adams' selection. Another Jewish lawmaker who is a Democrat said they would be voting for Blakeman. Interesting. Blakeman, in a statement, called Adams a radical running mate, claiming she helped fuel the migrant crisis, pull funds from the NYPD, and chased away thousands of jobs to other states. A Democrat operative said that Adams had made a lot of enemies while she was Speaker. She couldn't get it together in the Democratic mayoral primary. This pick just gave Bruce Blakeman a wake up and go to work sign. Well, I'm sorry if he hasn't seen that sign yet. There's probably no fixing it. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on, but coming up next, we're going to hear from the Rockwell Museum about their 50th anniversary. So don't go anywhere and keep those comments coming in. We'll be right back.
Seven reasons to buy certified pre-owned vehicles at Chilson Wilcox Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
7-year or 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
3 months or 3,000-mile maximum care coverage.
Carfax Vehicle History Report.
Car rental allowance. 24-hour roadside assistance.
125-point vehicle inspection.
3-month Sirius XM radio.
Chilson Wilcox, selling cars a different way, the right way.
It's tax time, and Current Power Sports is here to help your refund go further. For the month of February, we're covering the sales tax on any new CF Moto machine purchase, plus select accessories. That means big savings on machines built to work hard, ride far, and handle anything you can throw at them. Why pay more than you have to? Let us cover the tax. Stop by Current Power Sports in Wellsboro, Pennsylvania, or Pine City, New York, and save big on your next CF Moto. Limitations apply. See store for details.
Bottles and formula?
Got it.
Extra diapers?
Not making that mistake again. Got it.
A 3-day supply of non-perishable food for each person in your household in case the power goes out? You may be prepared for a lot of situations, but a natural disaster might not be one of them. Convoy of Hope can help make sure you're ready when disaster strikes. Convoy of Hope, providing hope in every storm.
I don't think all that's going to fit in there.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Hagan. We are broadcasting from the Hasselson studio, and in that studio this morning, the new executive director of the Rockwell Museum. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Frank, delighted to be here.
Can we still call you new? It's been over a year.
I don't know.
Yeah.
When does that expire?
I'd keep saying new if I were you.
Okay.
It gives you a little,
Sounds
gives
good
you a little
to me.
wiggle room.
It does.
So it's got to be kind of crazy, though. You've only been here a year, and you're jumping right into the 50th anniversary celebration.
I know, exactly. Well, that was on the docket, you know, when I was
They
hired.
told you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that was on the list of goals, was ushering in the museum's golden anniversary this year. And luckily, I've celebrated 2 prior museum 50th anniversaries.
Okay.
At my 2 former museums.
Is that your niche? Is that how you...
I guess it is. It's become my
Congratulations.
specialty. And then I turned 50, so I guess you could say about 3 under my belt. And now I'm on my 4th 50th anniversary. So yeah, so we've got an exciting year ahead, and
overwhelming year ahead. There's
so
a lot
much going on. You know, Frank, I had to bring my list of all the dates because there is a lot going on at the Rockwell. But you know, we are a vibrant community hub serving Corning and the southern tier of New York State and beyond. So always something to see and do at the museum, and especially this year.
Oh, absolutely. And how appropriate is it that right behind you is the Kids Art Lab?
Exactly.
It's almost like we worked this out.
You did.
It's like it's a green screen.
Absolutely, and it couldn't be more appropriate. The Art Lab is very much core to the museum experience and our educational mission. Even though it's here on Market Street, it really is about core mission, and we reach, you know, children and families.
Oh my gosh.
I know, and we have great numbers for the Art Lab, by the way. In 2025, we were up by 16% in attendance at the Art Lab.
Fantastic. Well, I see it all day, so I know you're busy over there.
You must see that, exactly. We are very busy, and our impact on early childhood arts education is really, I think, truly a distinguishing feature of the Rockwell Museum and what we offer this community and what we offer educators and families.
Yeah, and it's always kind of been, if you think about the 50th year, it's always been about kids and families right from day one, if you think about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great observation. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, even in 1 year, I'm a quick learner, and I have absorbed a lot of the museum's history. And, you know, one distinguishing factor there is it's always been, at its heart, a community museum.
100%.
Founded by a community
the
couple.
People talk about to this day about how important they were to Corning.
Exactly. Bob and Hertha Rockwell, of course, is who we're talking about. Their eponymous department store here on Market Street. Of course, they were avid collectors of American art, specializing in the art of the American West, as well as Native American pottery, basketry, textiles, clothing, and beadwork, which has formed the foundation of the museum's collection, and it is what we're celebrating today.
Absolutely. And I got something for you. I found this when I was cleaning out my house, and this is because my grandma used to volunteer a lot at the Rockwell, and I thought this was neat. So I'm going to show you that, and look at that, and I'm going to put it up on the screen. That's before it moved over to where you are today.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that crazy?
It was in the Baron Steuben Hotel.
Yeah.
Yes, on the 2nd floor. So
isn't that neat?
The museum has evolved through all these iterations. Even its location has evolved, because it used to be here on Market Street. Exactly, Frank. And now we opened in the building, the historic City Hall building on Cedar in 1982.
So they made their goal on that pin.
They did. I'm helping to move a museum.
See, that's what I meant when you said community. That was, that was a big part of this community, making sure that it went over the new location.
And had a permanent home
Yes.
here in downtown Corning.
I thought that was neat. Okay, so let's talk
Thank
about
you
the
for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. The Reframed at 50. That actually kicked off. The first exhibit started just the other day.
Wow, you were absolutely right.
Yeah.
Friday night, we had a big opening
Yeah.
reception over at the Rockwell Museum.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it was freezing out, we had over 80 people in attendance. It was a sold-out opening celebrating Native Now, contemporary indigenous art at the Rockwell Museum.
Isn't that great? And that's just one of, we joked at the beginning about how many things are going on, and we're going to get to some of those in just a moment. But if you look at this list, what are you looking forward to the most in this year?
Wow, you're
When it's
asking me to choose
over?
favorites? Directors can't have favorites,
Yeah, okay.
right?
Oh, okay.
But I would say I'm looking forward to everything. I mean, the exhibitions we have lined up, which are incredibly strong this year, with major loans in some cases and traveling shows, our own collection that we're showcasing. But then the programs I'm really looking forward to, I will tell you, are Rockwell at 50 block party in September, coinciding with the Gaffer District Harvest Festival.
Which is perfect.
So, which is just a perfect alignment, right?
Yep.
Of community and art and culture and celebration. So that I'm looking forward to. Also, we are bringing back the Rockwell Gala. We're having a big 50th anniversary bash.
November 7th.
And November 7th. So everybody should save the date for that big event. So I'm excited about that. And I'm excited also about our gallery talks, our lectures. For example, we have a lecture next week. On February 12th. We have the internationally acclaimed artist Devin Shimayama is coming to town. We own 2 works by Devin in the Rockwell Museum's permanent collection.
Oh, wow.
But he's an international art star, and he's coming to give a lecture on Thursday night and a gallery talk on Friday. So, I mean, there's just so much to be excited about. Also, I should say, we are a Smithsonian affiliate, and in April, we have our Smithsonian speaker coming to town, and that is on April 23rd, Rebecca Trotman, and this is part of a Smithsonian 250 initiative called Making History, Making Change, and we're excited to have Rebecca here from DC to speak on the artist Truman Lowe, who's an artist, by the way, who's also in our collection.
Oh, perfect.
So, perfect alignment.
And you mentioned that Smithsonian 250 initiative, excuse me, but some of this ties in too with America 250 and the celebrations going on now, right?
Yeah, so Smithsonian is celebrating America 250, and so is the Rockwell. So we are aligning this year our exhibitions and our programs, not only around our milestone, of our golden anniversary, but also the 250th anniversary and celebration of America's independence.
Yeah, we should also mention, just because I was looking at the day here, coming up on February 6th, just in a few days, is the Rockwell Live music series.
Oh my goodness,
featuring
we
Paper
can't
Wings.
forget that.
I mean, talk about hit the ground running Friday to Friday. I mean, you got a week and you've got 2 big events.
Exactly. So there's a lot going on. We are super busy. The museum is small but mighty.
Oh, absolutely.
And we really make an impact in the community. I want to just mention, speaking of the Rockwell Live concert series, those are always sold out events. So listen, folks, if you don't have your tickets,
better get them now.
You might want to get them now. But those are very popular, and we're looking forward to that on Friday night. Thanks for mentioning that,
Yeah,
Frank.
of course. Oh, also, I love that you have the Corning Area Robotics Club coming to town.
We had that last year.
They're great.
And it was phenomenally successful.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think we had over 200 people at the Art Lab, if you can imagine. Yeah.
Wow.
So they're coming back, the Robotics Club, and we're excited to bring them back for another year of impact and
they're a great group. But we had them on the show, and we got to get them on again. But not the whole team. There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, but that's where we're bringing the A into STEM, right?
Yeah,
we're creating STEAM, right?
Exactly.
And because so much of science and engineering, it's the basis of innovation is creativity, and that's what the Rockwell Museum. That's what we promote, and that's what we teach. We are teaching museum in that sense, and that we promote and learning and creativity for visitors of all ages, right? Frank, so now we think of the art lab and we think of the kids and the families, but really it's learners of all ages.
It really is. Now, when you look back at the year in review, The planning for this, how difficult was this? Because there are so many things going on throughout the whole year. How does that go? You must have so many helpful people that work for you, but also volunteers and people that make this all a little bit smoother.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we kicked it off when I got here last year with first things first. We have to plan the plan, right?
Yeah, right.
So we started with an interdepartmental anniversary steering committee.
Okay.
And that committee got to work very quickly. I think the first meeting was in February. So that committee started planning for the anniversary year. And then, of course, we engaged our board of trustees along the way. And we engaged our community stakeholders in conversations as well.
And how much is the Smithsonian play a role in this? How much help do they offer along the way?
Well, I think where the Smithsonian comes in is programmatically.
Okay.
So again, we are part of their 250 initiative, Making History, Making Change.
Right.
So we're only one of a small group of Smithsonian affiliates
Right.
that actually is participating in this. We had to apply to be part of this initiative, and we were accepted. The Rockwell Museum is in good standing with the Smithsonian, so we have a great relationship. So with the Smithsonian, Frank, it is really purely programmatic.
Okay.
So that lecture in April with Rebecca Trotman is really where that's coalescing.
And just to have the Smithsonian kind of partnership with the Rockwell, when that first was announced years ago, it's such a feather in our cap here for, I think, the city of Corning.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a national affiliation.
Yeah.
It really strengthens the museum's reputation and our national visibility. So I think you're absolutely right. You know, we're one of only 200 Smithsonian affiliates, and they don't hand it out to just any museum.
No, that's for sure.
You have to meet a standard of excellence to become a Smithsonian affiliate, and of course, we are also an accredited art museum by the American Alliance of Museums.
And who would have thought it starts at the Baron Steuben all those years ago?
I know.
It's
and,
amazing.
and even before that, in a department store.
Yeah, in the department store. That's right.
Here
yeah.
on Market Street, right?
It's amazing to think about. Now taking a step back, and I mentioned your time here so far and about the planning. What have you thought so far? You're about a year in. How's it feel to be executive director of the Rockwell?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And you know, Corning is such a vibrant and friendly community.
It really is, isn't it?
I have felt welcomed. I have felt the warmth of Corning, even when it's cold.
You've only had cold, pretty much.
Exactly.
This year.
And all I hear from people when I introduce myself, when I meet people out in the community, is how much they love the Rockwell.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to be honest with you, I've been in this field for 30 years. I've never worked in a museum where there is so much love.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very visible and apparent here in Corning how much the Rockwell means to residents.
Oh, absolutely.
And people even within the region and beyond. So that has struck me as something that we need to build on.
Yeah.
How do we make that stronger, Frank? So how do we go from great to greater?
Right.
I mean, so that's what I'm thinking about as the executive director.
What has been, I know you've had a lot of planning, so a lot of it's probably just been really the nitty-gritty of the job, but what has been your favorite part of the job so far?
Wow, another great question.
That's why I get paid big bucks.
Yeah, I think
the great questions.
I have to say I've enjoyed working with the incredible team at the Rockwell.
Yeah.
The staff at the Rockwell is truly remarkable. Everyone there, I can tell you, is a high achiever, is committed, deeply committed to the museum's mission, comes to work every day with the mission on their mind, and they're high performance. And when I interviewed here, I think that's what impressed me the most was the staff.
Yeah.
And that to come and lead this remarkable group and talented group of individuals, for me, is really the kind of, it's like a gift.
Yeah.
For after, again, having been in this museum industry for a long time, what can I give back? How can I help the staff grow and develop in their roles and make sure that their work shines?
Yeah.
And shines through. So,
well, I think we'll see with all of this going on.
I think you're seeing it already.
You're seeing
it.
Yeah.
So I would say love working with the team at the Rockwell and having impact.
Yeah.
I'm all about action. I'm all about impact. I want to see museums thrive and grow and, of course, be sustained for the future. So when you think about a 50th, right, milestone, part of what's on my mind is what's next.
Yeah, right.
And how do I build the Rockwell of the future?
Of
how
the legacy.
Do I, Right, the legacy. And how do we together build the Rockwell of the future, the legacy, and the next chapter?
Yeah.
And what will that next chapter be?
Yeah, what's it look
So
like?
that's what's it going to look like.
Yeah. All right, now, speaking of that,
Yes.
this is so amazing because we could talk about the strategic plan.
Yeah.
But this gift that you received of $3 million, making the kind of the media rounds the other day, I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but congratulations. That's so
Thank you.
important to the Rockwell.
It's transformative.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is. I mean, this is a pivot point, I think, for the museum.
Mm-hmm.
Largest cash contribution in the museum's 50-year history from the Rochester-based philanthropist Mary Spurrier.
That's wonderful.
And Mary, you know, she's investing in the Rockwell. This is an investment in the museum and in our strategic plan.
Yeah.
And when I discussed the strategic plan with her, it's something else I've been working on my first year. When you asked me about some of my favorite moments for the year, has also been working on the strategic plan with the staff and the board of trustees and our community stakeholders. Mary was so impressed with the strategic plan and our future direction, and that we're dreaming the dream.
Yeah.
She wanted to invest in it with a $3 million gift.
That's wonderful.
And it's just incredible. And we are so immensely grateful to her
Absolutely.
for all she has done for the Rockwell Museum and how she's going to make a big impact. And she already is, and it's showing.
Oh, absolutely. Now, before we go, if we don't have $3 million to invest, how can we get involved? If we can find out more, become a member, these type of things.
Yeah, I mean, I should let you know that Mary has told me directly, and it's in the press release, that her gift is designed to inspire others.
Okay.
It's designed to inspire others, to galvanize them to invest in the museum and our future, because we can't do it alone.
Right.
So we need supporters of all stripes and all sizes, right? So to get involved, first of all, a great touch point is going directly to our website.
Okay.
And
Right there on the screen.
rockwellmuseum.org,
Yeah.
right? If you could include a link to that. We have all of our events. Everything coming up is on the website. We have a landing page for our 50th anniversary year called Rockwell Reframed, which is our signature theme.
I like it.
So you can find all of that information there, but also stop by, come over. We're just around the corner. We're downtown Corning. Visit us. We're open every day during the winter except for Wednesdays, 9 to 5. So Wednesdays we're closed. Otherwise, we're open. You have to come see Native Now.
Yes.
Contemporary indigenous art at the Rockwell Museum. This is a landmark exhibition. It's also bolstered by several key loans from Art Bridges. I mean, it's a very powerful show, visually stunning. 35 artists, 47 works of art representing 29 indigenous nations in North America. So I hope everyone comes by. We also have the stores open, do a little shopping. And we have lots of materials there. We have a lot of printed materials that for visitors, gallery guides. We have QR codes now, Frank. People can scan to learn more and go deeper with works of art. We're elevating the voices of artists in the Native Now exhibition. We've got video reels. I mean, so we're really, as part of the strategic plan, dipping our toe into, or maybe taking a leap, I should say, into digital innovation and finding new ways to reach visitors, both in that kind of analog mode, but also in a more interactive and immersive mode.
And I would encourage anyone to visit, because you know what happens when you live in a community. You know you love the Rockwell.
Right.
You know you've loved it your whole life, but you haven't been in 5 years. You haven't been in 6 years.
Or 20 years. I hear that, yeah.
And so
I've heard
much has
that.
changed. And
so much has changed.
And that's the nature of it. So get out, and there's numerous opportunities even for free admission and things like that, but you can find it all on the website at the rockwellmuseum.org, rockwellmuseum.org. Well, thanks so much for giving us so much time this morning. Best of luck for the year ahead. I probably won't
Frank,
see you. You're going to be so busy.
Oh, well, you might be flashing in front of your
running
by your window
I'll
here,
wave quick.
but you'll wave to me.
Yeah.
So and I'll wave back to you as I'm running down Market Street.
Perfect.
But,
Well, thanks so much.
Thank you, Frank.
All
My
right.
pleasure.
Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's and Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Elmira Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
An albino buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Day 1 of the National Glider Competition.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
When weather hits the Twin Tiers, the road changes fast, and your tires should keep up. At Tire World, we're here to make sure you're ready for every snowy morning, icy curb, and late-night drive home. From all season to dedicated snow tires, our experts help you find the perfect fit for your car, your budget, and the way you drive. Fast service, trusted brands, and safety you can feel every mile. Don't wait for the first storm and roll into winter with confidence. Tire World of Corning, family service you can trust.
From a pilot perspective, flying into a hurricane goes against how we are trained, which is avoid weather. Always, always, always respect the storm.
We fly all 4 quadrants of that storm, and what we're doing is investigating to see where the winds are. If there's going to be a circular pattern that forms. If there's a circular formation, we know we have a storm. If we had not been providing that information, how many more lives would have been lost?
Saving property, saving lives. Start your...
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We want to thank our guests from the Rockwell Museum. A lot going on. I know I'm running late, so I want to read some viewer comments. One thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of the broadcast, you most likely have seen the news that came out yesterday, but Ryan Routh, who was convicted of trying to assassinate President Trump on the golf course back in 2024, was sentenced yesterday to life in prison. So I wanted to mention that in case you missed it. As I said, it was quite a busy news day. All right, let's go to viewer comments before we take a short break. I wouldn't even listen to the foul-mouthed Frey. That's Mayor Frey. He's like walls. They're not in touch with actual reality, but are in touch with their perception of political reality, i.e. getting votes no matter what it takes. Yes, foul-mouthed is definitely an appropriate term for Mayor Frey out of Minneapolis. He was trying to make a name for himself with his cussing, and the media loves giving him attention. A comment from a different viewer, Newscum, calling him Newsome just like Trump does, Newscum, doesn't do what he promises. Typical Democrat. Go President Trump. Thank you very much. Ken writes in, interesting that Tom Homan said that he is very pleased with the cooperation he has received from the counties in Minnesota, agreeing to cooperate with letting ICE pick up illegal immigrant criminals from the jails instead of letting them out early to evade ICE detention. But, true to Democrat form, in the city where 2 people have died trying to stop ICE on the streets, while ICE was looking for criminals that had been released into the community, it sounds like Mayor Frey will not agree to making it safer for his constituents. That's a very fair point. Thank you, Ken. We're talking about Adrian Adams, the lieutenant governor pick for Governor Hochul, getting a lot of backlash. As I said, the Brooklyn Democrats pulled their endorsement of Hochul because of it. There's some organizations, some groups not happy with this. Now, the New York Times is happy. They talk about the historic aspect to it. By selecting Miss Adams as their nominee for lieutenant governor, Hochul has created the first all-women major party ticket in New York State history and has chosen someone who brings geographic balance and a shared political sensibility to the ticket. Both women come from the moderate wing of the Democrat Party and have largely resisted left-leaning colleagues' push to raise taxes and alter policing policies, Okay. Is this just a flyer for Hochul's campaign? It's the New York Times. Imagine that write up for anybody other than a Democrat. The New York Times, wow. Glowing review of Miss Adams. Both are groundbreaking candidates. Miss Hochul is the first woman to serve as governor of New York State, while Miss Adams was the first black council speaker. Each has used her respective political perch to criticize the policies of President Trump. All right. I think we've heard enough of the New York Times glowing piece. It should be noted that the New York Republican Party will meet next week on Long Island, and by then Blakeman will most likely be chosen to be the candidate, and we'll see where the lieutenant governor conversation goes. All right, we do have to take a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Foster's, your destination for both essential classics and new sensory journeys. Looking for something smooth and velvety, or long and satisfied with a savory, spicy finish? With originally recognized bourbon section, let us be your guide. Foster's, elevate your spirits.
To the me used to be, before talking to 988.
I felt alone.
I thought seeing hard things was just part of the job. I thought that having a bad day at work meant I was failing. But then I connected with someone at 988.
A real person texted back. Someone listened without judgment.
Now I know. Now I know it's okay to let someone help me too.
And I'm stronger than I thought.
We hear you. Call, text, or chat 988.
There have always been a few, ready to fight and win. Since 1775, these few have been Marines, and they come from across this land to defend the future of our nation. This year, our Corps celebrates 250 years, and Marines are proud to serve this country, each other, and all that is still to come for America.
Thursday, everyone, and thanks for checking in. 24 today, well below the average of 34. Winds will be pretty light out of the west-northwest, but the clouds will be thickening up from the north and west here today as we have another clipper on the way for tomorrow. That'll bring us some scattered snow showers, some minor accumulations into the early part of the day Saturday. But look at that. More importantly, we do have another shot of very cold air, 9 for the high on Saturday, and then waking up to 1 below on
I think the roof cam got too cold. We'll have to reset that after today's broadcast, so we're ready for tomorrow. All right. Oh, by the way, so we're talking about Hochul's lieutenant governor pick. Mamdani, according to the, I think this is New York Times must be. Mamdani will endorse Hochul for re-election this week, allegedly. Mayor Mamdani's support could lend a jolt of progressive energy to the governor's campaign and further cement their once unlikely partnership. I mean, it could very well happen. I'd be a little surprised by it, but it sounds as if they got some information on background that he is going to endorse her. The mayor is expected to endorse the governor for re-election ahead of the Democrat Party's nominating convention on Friday in Syracuse, according to 3 people briefed of the plans. Now, many of us have speculated that that would not be the case. I don't think that helps his credibility with the DSA. I do like how the New York Times tries to claim that Hochul's moderate, by the way. I said I would mention this, talking about Hochul. An outspoken global actor in the grand theater of climate policy, New York has long insisted the transition to green energy would be cheap and straightforward. For years, state leaders have promised aggressive emissions cuts at little cost. Now, reality is crashing the party, and the state has been caught out in that fib. Facing a court-imposed Friday deadline, New York has effectively conceded that its green goals would pose costs consumers simply cannot bear. This admission exposes the gaps between lofty ambition and the harsh economic realities of rapid decarbonization. The state's 2019 climate legislation made grand sweeping promises. It demanded 70% renewable electricity and a 40% emissions cut from 1990 levels by 2030. Escalating to a zero emissions power system by 2040 and net zero economy-wide by 2050. Legislators, intoxicated by the myth that wind and solar are the cheapest energy sources, ignore warnings from analysts who pointed out that these intermittent power sources are only potentially cheap when the sun is shining and the wind is blowing. All other times, the costs escalate as you need an entire backup power system for reliability. The utopian law was passed with the tough part, actual regulations, deferred until later when presumably magical tech would materialize. As writer Francis Menton, who has closely followed this on his Manhattan blog, has pointed out, 6 years into the 11 available to meet the 2030 mandate, New York gets less electricity from zero-carbon sources than it did in 2019. Environmental groups sued in March, dragging the state into court to enforce laws to achieve those targets. The Supreme Court ruled in October, order compliance by February 6 of 2026. If the Department of Environmental Conservation blows past the deadline without taking action, which would be tomorrow, the court could hold it in contempt, imposing fines or other penalties to force costly compliance. New York's defense in court bears outlining a humiliating August 2025 letter admitting the whole scheme is infeasible and unaffordable for consumers. Even the state's most aggressive scenario, piling on unproven tech and policies, would fall short of the 2030 goal while jacking up energy system costs by at least 35% in 2040, adding a whopping $42 billion that year alone. That's a regressive tax on every New Yorker, hitting the poor the hardest with skyrocketing bills for heat, light, and transportation. New York admits that the cost of the grand climate promises are insurmountable. Its draft energy plan, a bloated 2025 tome, hundreds of pages long, offers no roadmap, just vague aspirations. Achieving net zero? Forget it. The state's own plan confesses that even $42 billion extra won't suffice, as green energy sources require vast overbuilds, batteries that don't scale affordability, and backups that undermine the green label. Self-interested supporters and deluded green energy boosters have long peddled fantasies of dirt-cheap renewables, but real-world data tells a different story. Germany's Energiewende has doubled electricity prices with minimal emissions cuts, leading to the country's own chancellor to declare that Germany is attempting the world's most expensive energy transition. Spain's blackouts, meanwhile, expose solar's issues. Pardon me. Globally, the best economic analysis shows going net zero costs far more than its climate benefits. The pain hits now, whereas the benefits are diffused and far into the future. So this continues, but New York's predicament should be a wake-up call to abandon these mandates and redirect resources to citizens and high-impact green research and development. In the end, climate policy must pass a simple test. Does it deliver more good than harm? New York's legislation flunks spectacularly, wasting a fortune on virtue signaling gestures. It's almost as if Mr. Bjorn Lomborg was watching this program the last few weeks. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
7 reasons to buy certified pre-owned vehicles at Chilson Wilcox Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
7-year or 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
3 months or 3,000-mile maximum care coverage.
Carfax Vehicle History Report.
Car rental allowance. 24-hour roadside assistance.
125-point vehicle inspection.
3-month Sirius XM radio.
Chilson Wilcox, selling cars a different way, the right way.
It's tax time, and Current Power Sports is here to help your refund go further. For the month of February, we're covering the sales tax on any new CF Moto machine purchase, plus select accessories. That means big savings on machines built to work hard, ride far, and handle anything you could throw at them. Why pay more than you have to? Let us cover the tax. Stop by Current Power Sports in Wellsboro, Pennsylvania, or Pine City, New York, and save big on your next CF Moto. Limitations apply. See store for details.
Thursday, everyone, and thanks for checking in. 24 today, well below the average of 34. Winds will be pretty light out of the west-northwest, but the clouds will be thickening up from the north and west here today as we have another clipper on the way for tomorrow. That'll bring us some scattered snow showers, some minor accumulations into the early part of the day Saturday. But look at that. More importantly, we do have another shot of very cold air, 9 for the high on Saturday, and then waking up to 1 below on Sunday.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Thank you for joining us. As always, we've got quite a few comments coming in. So let's get right to them, shall we? First up, Rick writes in, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Rick. I see they are reducing the number of ICE in Minneapolis by 700. Taco. Okay, so Trump always chickens out. So you wanted the 700. Am I to understand? So are you 100% proving the point that there's no way that Trump can win in your eyes? I mean, that's it's just to poke the bear, to get people mad. That's all you're doing. But if that's your style, fine. Greenland, taco. Okay, so you wanted us to take Greenland. Trump floats like a butterfly, but stings like a flea. All right. And let's see, talking about the whistleblower, it's all a little bit too rough this morning, Rick, language-wise. I'll try here. Good job, whistleblowers. There are some people left in the world with some scruples. Now I hear the lame brain is going to have ICE posted at all polling locations. That I'm not sure where you're getting that information. I see that Steve Bannon had suggested it, but that Steve Bannon is an ex-Trump official. Then he is going to have his puppets count votes. Not really sure that's how the election laws work. Wow, going down the conspiracy rabbit hole. Okay. There you are. Okay. That's your attitude. All right, Taco, you're saying that Trump always chickens out, that you wanted more ICE in Minneapolis. That's an interesting take. Mark writes, you must have ICE on your roof cam, LOL. Have a great day. Thanks, Mark. And finally, comment from a different viewer, no gas homes, no gas mowers. So why don't we all move into underground buildings with no lawn so we can afford to live in New York State? Fair point. We're getting there. All right, New York's runaway $115 billion Medicaid gravy train needs oversight. Very reminiscent of what is happening with the fraudsters in Minnesota. All eyes are now on New York, where spending on Medicaid is set to top $115 billion in 2026. Although New York spends more on Medicaid than Florida and Texas, both with much higher populations, there's no public oversight of where all that money goes. This has prompted calls for a statewide audit, which, surprise, surprise, Governor Hochul has resisted. New York State Senate Minority Leader Rob Ortt said this is not hard to figure out. When there's this much money, it's going into somebody's pocket. There are people who do not want that information out there or the audit to be done. It will lead to people losing money, right? The gravy train might end. It might even lead to prosecution. Yeah, they don't want to investigate this. Think of that. They're defending not investigating potential fraud in Medicaid. And under Hochul's leadership, I don't think there will be an investigation. Quote, the idea that New York State does not audit the single largest program in the budget is a real slap in the face. But with the one-party rule and the gravy train, as Mr. Orr has mentioned, I do not believe there'll be an investigation. Hinting at what lies below the surface, the New York Post recently uncovered how the state lost $1.2 billion of taxpayer money to scammers and middlemen through the Consumer-Directed Personal Assistance Program, and now it spends up to $400 million a year on social adult daycare centers, which mostly duplicate the offerings of senior centers. So this is quite a lengthy piece by Chadwick Moore, but you can find out more about the potential, it seems right in front of our face, runaway gravy train of $115 billion in Medicaid. We got to take our last break. We'll read your comments when we return. Stay with us.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
An Albany buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Day one of the National Glider Competition.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
fighting a critical illness, one truth touches us all. Every child deserves a childhood. A wish sparks a ripple of hope that transforms communities far and wide. And when we grant wishes together, we create a movement of kindness, strength, and unity. Yay! Become a wish maker today and be part of a journey.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. A viewer comment. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. I watched the hearings and was disappointed in the coverage. Every time the Republicans tried to make their point, they would cut to commercial, and they would rather switch to covering the protest. Yes, this was the hearing, I'm assuming, with Scott Bessent. That was really interesting with him in the back and forth with Maxine Waters. Thank you for that information. By the way, today President Trump will deliver remarks at the National Prayer Breakfast, which takes place today at 8:30. It'll be the 6th time attending the breakfast, which brings together lawmakers to gather and pray. Other people attending are House Speaker Mike Johnson, singer Jelly Roll, appropriately enough after we heard his speech at the Grammys, and Attorney General Pam Bondi. So that is today at 8:30. I'm not sure who else will be there. Oh, also J.D. Vance and Usha Vance were spotted in Italy at the Olympics. Interesting. All right. So with the death toll in New York City rising to 17 because of the cold, the council is going to probe Mamdani's winter storm response. Remember, the media started off by telling us that he was doing great. That was about an hour into the snowstorm. Now it is not looking as if he's been as helpful as originally presented to us. Now, he is receiving criticism, Mamdani, for his health department staffers who launched the Global Oppression Working Group. And in that working group, the Department of Health, the Global Oppression and Public Health Working Group, they meet on a Tuesday afternoon in the middle of a workday, and they accuse Israel of committing genocide. We really developed in response to the ongoing genocide in Palestine, said one presenter at the meeting. And the working group aims to address the growing interest among the health department staff to learn about current and ongoing global oppression in its many forms and how it influences the advancement of health equity. So the New York City Health Department, the staff launched a global oppression working group accusing Israel of genocide. Now, Mamdani, they're saying, needs to answer to this and about this obsession attacking Israel and Jewish people. It's time he puts his money where his mouth is. If the mayor wants to prove he represents all people of the city and cares if residents live or die, he'll immediately disband this disgraceful working group and put its ringleaders on notice that their jobs are at risk if they refuse. All right, that does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Boy, a comment from a viewer. Boy, it'd be great if they found some dirt on Hochul. Investigate New York State. Well, it's not even on Hochul, just in general, to save us money on that Medicaid with the potential fraud at $115 billion, and we don't audit it, to Ort's point. I mean, that reeks. Ken writes in, listening to one of your viewers' comments, it reaffirms two things that the Democrats sheeple believe in. It can never be allowed to acknowledge that Trump did something good for the country, and they must project their thoughts and actions on the Republicans. That's a very good point. Yes, and the people that are using that term taco in reference to ICE agents, obviously they didn't want an increase in ICE. It's kind of a weak argument to name call and get people riled up. We don't get riled up here because we got the facts on our side. Last thing, where was it? Oh, there it is. Just to end on a local issue. Congressman Langworthy introduced a Dietary Supplement Regulatory Uniformity Act. Legislation to protect consumer health and rein in burdensome state over regulations. So there you are. A little breaking news. That does it for today's edition. Thank you to our guests from the Rockwell Museum and their celebration of 50 years. Tomorrow we'll talk with Drumline Live, which will be at the Clements Center on February 11th. So tune in every weekday morning starting at 6 for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV. Big Fox. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow. Look forward to it already.